Biography of Edgar Allan Poe by Camila, Andrea, Perilla, Saavedra. Edgar Allan Poe was born in January 19 and he died of October 7. He was an American writer, editor, and literacy critic. He was born in Boston. His parents died when he was a child and a couple adopted him in Virginia. His foster father, important merchant, and him didn't get along. When Poe had 14 years, he started to write his first poems. He studied in Virginia University. And his literary race started with poems book, Chamberlain, and other poems. His foster father restricted the money and Edgar had problems with the beating and alcohol, so that he got into debt. In 1835, Edgar worked in Southern Literary Messenger magazine in Richmond. When he had 27 years, Poe got married with his cousin Virginia, that in this moment she had 13 years old. She died at her 24 years because of tuberculosis. In 1820, Edgar worked in Grandma's magazine. In January of 1945, Poe published his poem, The Raven, to instant success. Poe died in Baltimore when he was 40 years age, but the true reason of his death was never known. Respect his publishing career, he was the first well-known American to try to live by writing alone and was hampered by the lack of international corporate law. The Fall of the House of Usher. The author says that he wrote a letter from his friend Rodrigo Usher. His friend or invites to stay at home to accompany him. When he arrived at House Usher, the author can see that it's a destroyed mansion and all, that it's flooded with pests. His friend Rodrigo Usher was tall, slim, and very pale. He was depressed because his sister Madelina Usher had died from a hereditary disease. She was buried in the basement of house. 8 days after the funeral, a storm fell that worried the author due to the bad condition of the house. Then, while the author talked with his friend about poems and books, strange sounds of the basement began to be heard. It was Madelina Usher, Rodrigo's sister. The author lives scared of the house, and when he leaves, he observes how the house breaks in two. Finally, the author allows the house to collapse, leaving the two brothers buried. The Black Cat. The author begins by saying that when he was a child, he loves the animals because they were his friends. When he got married, his wife loved the animals too, and they decided to have many animals. His wife and he bought a black cat, and the author and the cat got along and began best friends. But then the author begins to feel bad energy inside the cat, and since then he changes his attitude. He becomes grumpy. and he begins to hate the cat. At night, when the author was very drunk, he caught the cat by his neck and shook him. The author took his knife from his pocket and cut out one of Pluto's eyes. Some time later, the author, angry at his conscience, decided to kill the cat by hanging him in a tree. Then he noticed that his house was on fire and tree is a wall with the shadow of the one-eyed cat. Tormented and unable to sleep for his monstrous act, he gets in a bar and one-eyed black cat with a white spot on his chest. He takes the cat home and his wife pampers him. This new animal started to make him angry and they wanted to kill it because the cat loved him alone. The stain in cat chest is become in gallows. One night, the author goes down to the basement waiting to kill the cat, and his wife does not allow it, so he kills her. Then he hides it in a wall of the house and starts his search against the cat. 3 days later, the police arrived at author's house and asked for his wife. The police examined all the house and didn't find anything, but just when they were going to leave, they listened strange sounds. Was a cat and the corpse of a woman.